Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer for Weekend Wrap. Going back to last Saturday's Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Mile at Del Mar, we expected a ding-dong pace battle from the horses in gates 1 and 2. We were not disappointed. They break from the gate. There's Midnight Storm down towards the rail. There's Heart to Heart in the 2 spot. They're going to go 22 and 1 for the first quarter, and World Approval, the favorite in this race, just gets a great spot tracking.
Yeah, I mean, the pace is certainly legitimate. Even if they aren't flying out there, it's a legitimate pace. Midnight Storm will make the lead. You can see Heart to Heart's he's not really racing him for it. He's going to be content to track from the outside here. World Approval, though, this is, his real calling card is this. You can just put him wherever you want in a race, and he's just in a perfect spot here.
He's the big gray, tracking in between horses directly outside of Lancaster Bomber, who World Approval defeated in the Woodbine Mile earlier this year. Lancaster Bomber getting a nice forward spot as well, and he's going to eventually run well to finish second. But this pace is fast, and what we know from Heart to Heart is he kind of needs not only the lead, but kind of just to allow himself to relax. And when he's in chase mode like he is now, while he eventually puts away Midnight Storm and sort of wins the duel and loses the war, he just doesn't have that same pop.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a better horse when he can get comfortable on the lead here. And again, I don't think they're really dueling here. He's just sort of sitting up on the pace here with this horse. They're not going after each other. He will take over from this horse, and he'll make it down to about the 8th pole, Dan. And then from there, he's just no match for these horses, and he gets outfinished by everybody at the end.
John Velasquez gets World Approval into the clear, and for a second, it looks like he's idling a bit right now. Lancaster Bomber down towards the inside is going to have to be held up for just a second. Now World Approval is going to get through. Lancaster Bomber is going to dive to the inside. Very, very game for second, but there really isn't any strong closing coming up, and World Approval grinds it out.
Yeah, he does. I mean, this race looks a lot to me like the Woodbine Mile that he won before that, where a bunched up finish behind him sort of makes you feel like maybe the race just isn't that great. But on the other hand, this horse he was just much the best in here. He got a really good trip in this race, but he also finished it off the way you're supposed to finish it off, and he was the best horse.
7:40 for World Approval. They ran 1-2 in the Woodbine Mile. They run 1-2 in the Breeders' Cup Mile. The $1 exacta pace, 48.50. Lancaster Bomber still eligible for a non-winners of 2 life. A little unlucky here, although I wonder if he got out, would he have been able to take World Approval's measure? I'm not so sure.
I say no, but maybe he would have made it a little bit closer. But you're right. I mean, he did, have to wait for that horse to clear, and I guess that allowed World Approval to get the jump on him. Anyway, once he got through on the inside, he was dead game to be second. I still don't think he was going to win there.
Second choice in this race, Ribchester tried to knife his way in between horses in the stretch. He was finishing with a little bit of interest to finish 5th. Do you think he was held up? Do you think he was too far back? It looked like there was some interest, and it looked like there was some traffic.
Well, and he got one of those trips where he was just always in and among horses. He never got fully clear. I don't think that I ever saw him get stopped in the race. I don't think he had any kind of huge excuse in here. The trip wasn't perfect, but it wasn't terrible, and he just got outfinished at the end for a board spot.
World Approval is the 4th graded stakes winner and 4th millionaire produced by his dam, Win Approval, and the 2nd Breeders' Cup Mile winner, Miesque's Approval, also out of Win Approval by the Great Canadian Triple Crown winner and turf runner With Approval. World Approval probably nails down champion Turf Honors with his victory here. And listen, this horse was able to go 1 mile 3/8 last year in the United Nations, a distance a little bit farther than he wants. But ever since Mark Casse turned him back this year, I mean, 4-star Dave, Woodbine Mile, Breeders' Cup Mile, that's an impressive string.
Yeah, he's been impressive winning all 3 of them too. I mean, this horse ran really well in all 3 of those starts. And you're right, it feels like the turn back is what really did it for him.
And as a gelding, he will be back for racing next year at the age of 6. Blackjack Cat really improved towards the end of this year. Really, Mark Glatt did a fantastic job with Blackjack Cat. Now, Blackjack Cat likes usually to be more forwardly placed in here. I think this post position hurt him a little bit, and they forced him to take back. He fired in the lane.
Oh, man, he ran really well this time. I mean, he was wide the entire way from off the pace this time. Made a good, 5 wide run all the way around the 2nd turn, and he kept coming through the stretch. This horse just missed 2nd, and he's one of the few horses in the race I think you go back and watch and go, well, that wasn't a great trip for him.
Sway Dwy, I think, backed up his win in the Shadwell Turf Mile. He ran well again to finish 4th at the age of 6. His Shadwell Turf Mile, he got a really good trip and kicked down the lane. I wonder if he likes a little bit more cutting the ground.
Yeah, maybe so. He got a good trip in this race, too. I thought he had a shot at it, and I think he did the best that he could do in here. It just wasn't quite enough.
Zelzal in from France, finished 6th. Little traffic for him?
He got in a little bit tight in the stretch, I thought. I mean, I don't know what real options his rider had in this race. He sort of took him to the inside, and once he committed there, he had to rally up the rail through the stretch. He got in a little bit tight in there. I don't think it really made that much of a difference, but he ran pretty well.
Roly-poly, the mare, I was a little surprised how far back she was early. I mean, she was just allowed to drop back there. And I can understand, I guess, the thought from Ryan Moore, there's going to be a big pace up front with Midnight Storm and Heart to Heart. Let's go back and hope that this European kick comes a little short a mile for her.
I don't know. Maybe it was. I feel like the trip didn't work out for her. From that post, I don't think anything really went right for her. And she was actually running at the end of the race. It was just, from where she was, she had no chance in here.
Balarox also dropped back early. He chased Sway Dwa with a good trip in the Shadwell Turf Mile. I think we had wondered if maybe that was the race where he needed to prove that he was a true elite miler. And here again, he just fell back and kind of clunked around.
His race 2 back in the Shadwell race, I felt like that was a race where he could have won. He got the right trip. He had a shot at it, and he just came up short at the end. Not that he didn't run well, he did, but there was no real excuse for him. He had an excuse in this one. I mean, they took him all the way back, and he was just trying to rally in traffic all through the stretch. I mean, he was one of the horses trying to run late who never really got clear. I don't know how much of a difference it would have made, but this trip didn't work out for this one.
World approval, 107 Beyer speed figure, winning the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Mile for John Velasquez and Mark Casse.